Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Brian O'Brien. I'm the Experience Marketing Manager here at Cliff Family Winery, and you are joining us for another virtual happy hour. This particular virtual happy hour is highlighting our February Wine Venture Wine Club shipment. As always, I'm joined with our amazing winemaker, Laura Barrett. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you for hosting.
This is one of the most exciting club shipments that we have all year because we get to release the most popular wine that we make every year, our Rosé of Grenache. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to start with the 2022 Rosé of Grenache. Now, Laura, this is by far our most popular wine. We sell out of it every year, so I'm really excited to finally release it. Tell us a little something about this 2022 Rosé.
Well, just the rosé in general, people love this wine, and I think a lot of it has to do with timing. We have gotten through kind of the cold months of winter, December, January, the holidays are behind us, and everyone is itching for spring. So the timing of this is really probably the most popular piece. People are ready to drink something fresh and fruit driven and think about summer, and that's exactly what this does. So we release the rosé every year sometime late February. It gives me a chance to finish the wine in the winter months and get it bottled and then ready to ship out the door. So this is the first release of the 2022 vintage, and this wine has become very predictable for me. I always know when it's ready, and it's sort of that first smell post fermentation when the wine is settled out and it's clarified and it's been sulfured, and I get that burst of fruit out of the glass. And I think I say this every year, like, oh, this is amazing, we've done it again. So
you've done it.
We've done it again. It's definitely a team effort. So these grapes are sourced from the same location as they have been for 8 years now that I've been making this wine. This comes from the Barrett vineyard, which is in Mendocino County. It's not in the town of Mendocino, so don't think coastal cool weather. Think sort of the interior of Mendocino County, where it's actually quite warm. It's just southeast of Ukiah in the foothills, and it's just a fruit-driven place. I've made red wine from this property as well, and it's the fruitiest Grenache you'll ever smell. It doesn't have any bit of that sort of earthiness, which is why I made the decision to make 100% rosé from this property. So it's done in 100% stainless steel, and always drinks perfectly right off the bottling line. This isn't a wine that needs like a several months to kind of recover from bottle shock. It tends to, because it's made in a more reductive environment, and it's so fruit driven, when it hits the glass and gets a little bit of air in it, it kind of explodes with aromatics. So perfect for kind of that first warm sunny day in February. We always see people sitting out on our patio at the tasting room drinking this by the bottle. It makes me so happy.
Drinking rosé all day. You're totally right. It is the perfect time of year. We're warming up here in California, right? So we're getting kind of out of the cold season, although it is rather cold today, I might say. But it's perfect time for rosé. We just had our actual pink party for this on March 1st, and it was great. We invited all of our local friends and family to come and enjoy this incredible wine. Again, our most popular wine. I always describe it really vintage to vintage as almost like an underripe strawberry flavor. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit more kind of acidity to it than like a fully ripe strawberry, but that's really the way that I always describe it. Super refreshing. Get it while you can. This is my favorite poolside wine probably, so get it while you can. We're definitely going to sell out of it. We sell out of it every year, so get yours today. Again, 2022 Rosé of Grenache. All right, let's get into the second wine from this shipment. This is the 2021 Chardonnay from the Oak Knoll District. Now, kind of similar to the Viognier from last year, this one really is kind of a wine club exclusive wine at this point. So Laura, tell us a little bit about this 2021 Chardonnay.
Yeah, so as we build our Chardonnay program here at Cliff Family with the introduction of the unoaked Chardonnay, it's always part of my responsibility to make sure that when we make two wines of the same varietal, that they have some distinction. So the way that we're differentiating this Chardonnay from the unoaked Chardonnay is that this one one is picked a little bit on the riper side, maybe a brick or two riper. Bricks is our measurement of sugar. So that's just an indication that the fruit has been on the vine a little bit longer. The alcohol might be slightly higher, and you're going to get a little bit more flavor development in the berry. You also get a little bit more of a golden color in the berry, which translates into the finished wine. This wine also goes into 100% French oak barrels, typically between 20 and 30% new. So you are going to get a little bit of complexity and both in flavor and in aroma from the oak presence. It also gives me the opportunity to stir the barrels, and so I do a little bit of an extended aging on this wine as well as compared to the unoaked Chardonnay. So I get more time to stir, develop the mid palate, a lot more lees contact, which adds a little bit of texture to the wine. I don't want to use the term creamy because this wine does not go through malolactic fermentation, so we're not getting that buttery, creamy character, which is very common in Napa Valley Chardonnay. We always wanted this wine to be very varietally representative and food friendly. So we want that natural malic acid and the acidity on the palate to pair well with food, to keep it fresh and vibrant, to help it age longer, all of those things. So those are the ways that this wine is different than our unoaked Chardonnay. And because we're making two wines now, this has become a little bit more of a wine club direct wine. So it's really, we're only making enough to put into the wine club shipment. It won't be something that sticks around to purchase in the months or years to come. So definitely one of the perks of being in the wine club is your guaranteed allocation of this Chardonnay.
That's right, and I'm talking to my mom out there because this is my mom's favorite wine, and she's not yet a club member. So, Mom, I'm looking at you. You need to join the club in order to get this wine. And you hit the nail on the head. What differentiates our Chardonnay program from the stereotypical Napa Chardonnay program is that lack of malolactic fermentation, that lack of creamy, buttery flavor that a traditional Napa Chardonnay really has. I really enjoy this one. I really describe this wine as having a lot of kind of apple qualities, like a green apple to it. And honestly, the lack of that malolactic flavor is really, it's my preferred flavor. So I really appreciate this particular wine. Again, a really incredibly food-friendly wine. But the only way that you'll find out is if you are a Wine Ventures Wine Club member. That is our 2021 Chardonnay. All right, let's go into the third and final wine from this wine club shipment, the only red of this shipment. And honestly, you might be surprised to hear me say this, this is the one that I'm most excited to talk about. And that's because I don't know a lot about it. But the one thing that I do know is last week when we were talking about shooting this, you're like, the one that I'm really excited about is that Sonoma Valley Grenache.
Yeah.
And that really surprised me, and I haven't tried it since, and so I'm really excited to talk about. Let's talk about it. This is our newest vintage, the 2021 Sonoma Valley Grenache. Tell us a little bit about this wine.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we used to make Grenache from the same vineyard that we make the rosé from, and it was so fruity, just a very different style. And when we decided to put all of those grapes into the rosé program, I had to find a new source for Grenache red wine, which was actually really challenging. There's not a lot of Grenache in the ground in the Napa Valley, and so I had to look outside of Napa. And I, just through a fellow viticultural friend, I connected with Phil Couturi, who leases a vineyard in the Sonoma Valley, right on Highway 12, and it's a 100% Rhone site. So Rhone whites and Rhone reds, and it is 100% certified organic. So we purchased the grapes from Phil Couturi in Sonoma Valley, and this is one of those wines where it's really, you can talk about it as made in the vineyard. There's not a lot of winemaking influence that goes on here. And I was just talking the other day about how managing tannins in a Grenache fermentation is so different than managing tannins in a Howell Mountain Cab fermentation.
Thin skin versus a thick skin grape.
Yeah, I can't really go wrong. So the wine almost makes itself in that scenario. I'm just a little careful in managing temperature and pump overs, and then it goes down to 100% neutral French oak, so no new oak whatsoever. So you're really getting a lot of fruit, and you're really seeing what these what's going on in the vineyard really is in the glass.
Really a pure example of the Grenache grape, really.
Yeah, and in this particular vintage, I think it's a lot more bright red fruit and less of this sort of earthy quality that we sometimes see. And I think that's characteristic of the vintage itself. Another differentiating factor is this is the first year that we have bottled this wine without a foil. So this is the finished bottle, unopened, no capsule. And we are experimenting with this just this is the first wine we've done this way, and it's an effort as a business to reduce our carbon footprint, create less waste. If you can imagine, this bottle with the foil on it is actually not recyclable. So we think we're throwing it in the blue bin, and it really isn't going to make it because of that foil. So we're just trying to make small steps towards a better place and a better business for the environment, and this is one thing we can do. So this is an experiment. We'll see where it goes. I'm interested in people's feedback on how the presentation is, and we're excited about and hopeful that we can continue doing this with some of other wines in the future.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I wasn't going to let you get by without talking about it. So let me just reiterate what she said if you didn't catch that. If you just take the top part of this foil off of, let's say, the Chardonnay bottle, for example, drink the whole thing as one tends to do, and then you put that in recycling bin as a normal, sustainable human being likes to do, right? If you leave any of that foil on it, they will not recycle it. Let me say that one more time. If you leave any of that foil on it, they will not recycle it. So our effort into trying to rectify that and fix that problem is to not have foil on certain SKUs that we have. So as Laura mentioned, let us know what you think about that idea. Now, in the same conversation, we're using a composite cork in this, and that's kind of in the same consideration. It's more sustainable to have that composite cork as opposed to the normal punched out cork, right?
Correct. The composite cork has a couple of benefits. Number one, it's a little more sustainable because you are technically, when you punch out a cork in the cork bark, there's a lot of waste and a lot of leftover cork. So you're utilizing that. The other piece is that there's far less incidence of TCA. So we're reducing the loss due to a cork tainted bottle. So I find them to be a little more firm, and you have to, when you're removing them with a corkscrew, you have to pull a little harder. They stay very, they're not as spongy as a natural cork would be. And it is natural cork, it's just a composite form of natural cork, and it's held together. The binding agent is grapeseed oil product, so it is biodegradable, which is really important. In the past, some of these composite corks have used a glue that's made them non-biodegradable, so that has been the transition in the production of this product that has allowed us to utilize it.
And I love that the way that these corks are made, it really, as you mentioned, it kind of eliminates a corked wine, or at least dramatically reduces how much wine we lose on a yield due to cork taint, right? Yeah,
and it's more than that too, because I think a lot of customers, they might not be able to recognize a corked bottle because they don't know what the product is supposed to taste like we do, because we're opening these bottles every day. So a customer might open it and say, oh, this just isn't very fruity and I don't like it. And we don't want them to, we don't want them to think that. We want them to know, if it's corked. So I think a lot of times it goes one step past just the waste piece. We want every bottle to taste the same and to taste exactly as we intended it to.
And it also just goes towards our sustainability efforts. So love it. Really excited about this wine. Super red fruit, really light. Super food friendly, like most of your wines tend to be. So I'm really excited about this. Again, this is the 2021 Sonoma Valley Grenache. This is part of the February Wine Ventures Club shipment. Again, we tasted through the 2021 Rosé, the 2022 Rosé, 2021 Chardonnay, and 2021 Grenache. If you are interested in buying any of these wines, join the Wine Venture Club. Again, the Chardonnay is exclusive to that club. We got plenty of Rosé of Grenache if you're interested in, I think, a little over 400 cases of the Grenache, if I remember right. Again, Laura, thank you for joining us, and thank you all for watching. Let's end with a cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.